In the quiet village of Amora, Nika was known for her fierce independence and sharp temper. Unlike many of the other young women in the village, who had married early and begun families, Nika had no interest in following the traditional path. Instead, she worked her small farm, tended to her animals, and kept to herself. But there was one thing that always troubled her hen and her chicks. Nika's hen had been a constant presence in her life, clucking loudly and scattering the grains she had carefully laid out. Every day, the hen and her chicks would peck at her garden, scratch through the dirt, and create chaos in her home. Nika had no patience for the destruction they caused, especially the chicks, who seemed to be everywhere, disturbing her peace. She had tried many times to keep the chickens away, but they always found their way back, disrupting her work. One afternoon, after spending hours tending to her farm and cooking, Nika found herself at her wit's end. The hen and her chicks had once again invaded her garden, pecking at the crops and leaving trails of dust in their wake. Her nieces and nephews, who sometimes stayed with her, had been chasing the chicks around, adding to the chaos. Nika's patience snapped. She had warned them repeatedly. "Don't let them into the garden," she had shouted. But her words went unheard. The chicks ran wild, and with them, the damage was done. It was a scene she had grown all too familiar with, but today it felt like the last straw. The sun had begun to set, casting a fiery orange glow across the village, but Nika was too angry to notice its beauty. She was consumed by the frustration of a woman pushed beyond her limits. In a fit of rage, she grabbed a hoe from the yard and stormed outside. She started digging furiously, her hands trembling with anger. The sharp metal of the hoe cut into the soft earth as she worked with desperation. The hen squawked loudly, warning her of what was to come, but Nika was too far gone in her fury. The chicks, startled by her movements, scurried around her feet, trying to escape. But she was relentless. Driven by her need for control, Nika forced the hen and her chicks toward the freshly dug hole, trapping them one by one. The hen flapped her wings in frantic distress, and the chicks chirped in terror. But Nika's eyes were dark, focused on the task at hand. Her hands shook as she grabbed each of them and pushed them toward the grave she had dug. The weight of the moment seemed to fall over her, heavy and final. With one last look, she threw the hen into the grave, followed by each of the chicks, and covered them with the heavy weight of the earth. The soft chirping of the chicks faded as the dirt piled on top, sealing them inside. Nika stood there for a long moment, the ground beneath her trembling with the weight of her actions. Her breath came fast, and her chest rose and fell with anger, the pulse in her temples pounding. She stood over the grave, wiping the sweat from her brow, her eyes burning with a rage that made her entire body shake. There was a strange sense of satisfaction in what she had done, but at the same time, something felt wrong. Something nagged at the back of her mind, but she couldn't put a name to it. "They will never disturb me again," Nika muttered, her voice hard and sharp, the words edged with a bitterness that was foreign even to her. The words hung in the air like a curse. The villagers who had gathered to witness the scene looked on in silence, uneasy whispers rising among them. They had always known Nika's temper was quick to flare, but this was something they had never seen before. Her actions had shocked them, and the unsettling finality of her stance made them uneasy. They knew her well enough to understand that she had done it out of frustration, but there was something in the way she stood over the grave that felt darker than mere anger. Something ominous. Among the onlookers was her aunt, Adalbi, who had witnessed many of Nika's outbursts in the past. She had seen the young woman's rage many times before, but never to this extent. "Nika, my child," Adalbi called softly, stepping forward, her voice trembling. "Why this? Why the hen and her chicks?" Nika turned to face her, her eyes still wild, her chest rising and falling with each breath. "They were always in my way," always. What do I care for them? They were nothing but trouble, bringing nothing but chaos. Adalbi frowned, sensing the disturbance in Nika's heart. You were too quick to anger, child. There are consequences to such actions. You may not see it now, but the earth remembers. Nika scoffed, her mouth twisting in defiance. Consequences? I am tired of the world and its nonsense. Tired of everyone expecting me to act in a way they deem proper. I am not like the others. I am Nika, and I will do as I please. Adalbi stepped back, her face clouded with concern. The earth, Nika. The earth is a living thing, and it will not forget what you have done. But Nika wasn't listening. She didn't want to hear about consequences or the earth's anger. She didn't care. In that moment, she was convinced that she had done what was right. The grave of the hen and her chicks marked the end of her torment. Days passed and life in Amora seemed to return to normal. The sun continued to rise and set, casting its golden light over the village, and the villagers went about their business. But there was a heaviness that seemed to settle over Nika. The unease she had felt after the burial never quite left her. She couldn't explain it, but the quiet in her house seemed deeper, more suffocating. The chickens no longer troubled her garden, but something else had filled the silence. She began to notice small changes, little things that seemed out of place. At night, the air in her house would grow colder, even though it was warm outside. She would hear the faint sound of scratching at her door. But when she opened it, no one was there. It was as if something or someone was waiting just beyond her reach. And then there were the dreams. Every night, she would dream of the hen and her chicks. They would appear to her, not as they had been in life, but as shadows. Their eyes would stare at her from the darkness, their small bodies twisted and disfigured, their faces contorted in anguish. They would cluck and chirp, but the sound was muffled, like a cry from far away. Each dream would end with Nika standing over the grave, staring down at the earth she had buried them in. The dreams grew worse with each passing night, becoming more vivid, more disturbing. Nika could no longer sleep without fear, knowing that the shadows would return. The weight of what she had done began to settle heavily on her chest, and for the first time, she felt the stirrings of guilt. It wasn't just the dreams that troubled her. It was the feeling that something was waiting for her, something that would never let her go. One morning, as Nika walked to her farm, she felt a strange sense of foreboding. The village seemed quieter than usual, the wind still and heavy in the air. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. As she passed the spot where she had buried the hen and her chicks, she stopped. The ground was freshly disturbed, as if something had been scratching at the earth, trying to break free. Nika knelt down, her fingers trembling as she touched the soil. It was warm to the touch, almost as if the earth itself was alive. She dug into the dirt, her heart racing. The deeper she dug, the more she felt a sense of dread rising within her. Finally, her fingers touched something cold and smooth a bone. With a cry of horror, she pulled her hand back. The grave was not empty. It was never meant to be. The earth had remembered. Nika scrambled to her feet, her heart pounding in her chest. She turned to run, but before she could take a single step, she heard a sound that froze her in place. A soft, unmistakable chirping rising from the grave. The hen had returned, and so had the chicks. Nika knew, with terrifying certainty, that her past had come back to haunt her, and this time, there would be no escape. Years passed and Nika's life continued as it always had, independent and solitary. She worked her land, built her home, and lived alone, free from the noise and distractions of children and animals. But as the years went on, something within Nika began to change. The harsh reality of loneliness crept in, and a desire for something more than the hard work and isolation she had known took root in her heart. By the time she was in her early 30s, Nika found herself longing for the companionship that only a family could bring. Nika had seen the women around her, married with children, raising families of their own. Though she had once rejected the idea of marriage and children, she found herself questioning her decisions. Perhaps it was time for a change. One evening, when she visited the village market, she met a kind and gentle man named Hugo. He was different from the other men in the village, patient, thoughtful, and deeply understanding of her independence. They spoke, and a friendship began to form. Hugo's gentle nature provided the stability that Nika had long desired, and in time, that friendship blossomed into love. It wasn't long before they were married, though even as she stood beside him on their wedding day, a quiet fear lingered within her. She had always been strong, independent, and self-sufficient. But now, as she stepped into marriage, she couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something was wrong. There was something in the air, an unseen weight that she could not place. And soon enough, that feeling would become her reality. Nika and Hugo tried for years to have children. Despite their efforts, she could not conceive. The months turned into years and still no child came. At first, she blamed it on the stress of her new life, the adjustments, the change of routine. But as time passed, the absence of a child became harder to ignore. Her body, once vibrant and full of life, began to betray her. The once lively fields where she and Hugo worked together now seemed dull, and her own spirit began to wither in the absence of the joy that children would have brought. Her friends and family, who had once envied her independence, now whispered behind her back, "Nika, you've been married for so long. Why is there no child?" Nika could hear the hushed whispers of the village women, the sympathetic glances from the elders. It was as though the world was silently questioning her. She began to feel it too, the weight of being the only woman in the village without a child. Her pride, once so firm, began to crack under the weight of society's expectations. Late one night, after yet another failed attempt to conceive, Nika sat alone in her room, her mind racing with thoughts of what could be wrong. She closed her eyes, trying to remember her younger years, and the one memory that came to her with startling clarity was that of the hen and her chicks. The feeling of rage and cold determination flooded back to her. Had it been the spirits of the hen and her chicks? Had her act of violence, the burial of innocent life, led to her current fate? She had never believed in curses before, but now, the thought gnawed at her. She could not escape it, the overwhelming sense that her anger had shaped her future in ways she had not intended. The next day, Nika, overwhelmed by the guilt and doubt, went to the place where she had buried the hen and her chicks all those years ago. It was a quiet, overgrown spot, long forgotten by most of the village. But Nika knew it well. She had never spoken of it to anyone, but she could never forget that grave. As she knelt down and began to dig into the soil, memories flooded her mind. The chirping of the chicks, the frantic squawk of the hen, and the cold anger that had driven her to bury them alive. Her hands trembled as she unearthed the old bones of the hen and her chicks. She gasped, feeling a chill run through her body as a soft wind began to stir, carrying with it the faint sound of clucking. The sound, so familiar and yet so strange, echoed in her ears. It was as though the earth itself was calling to her. "It is too late," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I have taken what wasn't mine to take, and now I am paying the price." Her body shook with the realization. She had buried them in anger, and now, in her time of need, the earth had turned its back on her. She had severed the life-giving bond of nature, and in return, she had been denied the one thing she had always wanted: children. As the years passed, Nika's health began to deteriorate. Her once strong body grew frail, her skin sagging with age. Her hair, once dark and full, now turned silver with the passing of time. Despite all the efforts, despite the many prayers and sacrifices she made, Nika never conceived. Hugo, too, grew weary. Though he loved Nika deeply, the absence of children haunted them both. It was not until her old age, when her hair had turned silver and her body frail, that Nika realized the true cost of her actions. Her wish for children, the family she had longed for, would never be fulfilled. She had denied the earth, and in return, the earth had denied her. One cold morning, as Nika lay on her deathbed, the village elders came to her side. Their faces were somber, and their voices soft as they spoke. "You cannot take life in anger and expect life to return to you," they said, their voices filled with the wisdom of years. "The earth has its own balance, and when you take without understanding, you take more than you bargained for. You have disturbed the natural order, and it has cost you dearly." Tears welled in Nika's eyes as she listened to their words. Her entire life had been shaped by her desire for control, her refusal to conform to the expectations of others. In her anger and frustration, she had made a decision that would echo through the years, denying her the very thing she longed for: a family. Now, as she lay there, facing the consequences of her actions, she understood the true meaning of the elders' words. "You must respect the earth, Nika," one of the elders continued, "for it is not ours to command. The earth gives life, but it also takes it. What you sow, so shall you reap." With that, Nika closed her eyes, her breath shallow and weak. She had lived a life of independence, but in the end, she had learned that true fulfillment did not come from defying nature, or the bonds that connect all living things. It came from understanding those bonds and respecting the natural world that sustains life. As Nika passed away, the villagers gathered to pay their respects. They spoke in hushed tones of her life, her strength, and the lessons she had left behind. Many remembered her fierce independence, her anger, and her loneliness. But as the days went by, the story of her life and the cost of her actions spread through the village, becoming a cautionary tale for all who would listen. The earth is not ours to command. We must respect the balance of nature and understand that our actions have consequences. When we take life in anger or haste, we may find ourselves paying a heavy price. Nika's story reminds us that true fulfillment comes not from defying the natural order, but from living in harmony with it. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more African folktales that teach valuable lessons, don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more.